Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 comes out this week, and not gonna lie, after seeing how great 1+2 was, I'm kinda excited. I played the demo, loved it, proposed to it, and now I'm putting those $11 I need to pay for our honeymoon in the LA River towards a subscription to PC Game Pass. Tony Hawk games have been a part of my life since a young age, and seeing them bring back and improve my childhood games is a wonderful feeling. But not everyone is as positive about the upcoming game as I am. Compared to 1+2 and its universal praise before and after release, 3+4 has garnered a lot of criticism on its way to going gold, with most of it directed towards the THPS 4 portion of the game. If you're watching, you're probably already a Tony Hawk fan and know what's happened already, but for the sake of history, I'm just gonna sum it up really quick. Just a second. THPS 4's free roam career mode was discarded in favor of fitting the game and its levels into the iconic 2-minute timer format of the first 3 games, and along with that, some of those levels from 4 were removed for the remake. To make up for it though, they replaced them with 3 brand new levels, to which, depending on who you ask, is the greatest or worst thing that could ever happen in the series. See, the removed levels were ones that some players actually had issues with, and it seems maybe even the developers did as well. It's important to add that during all of this change, our precious THPS 3 was left practically untouched during all of this commotion. That game's remake will be as faithful as the dog you save in Resident Evil 4, I'm pretty sure. Only the THPS 4 portion was chopped and screwed like this. For the most part, there is one major change that affects both the games in a way that might actually hurt it more than any removed levels or career mode ever could, and that's the soundtrack. When 3+4 was announced, we could predict that the games would pretty much be given the THPS 1+2 treatment, a practically one-to-one remake with only the biggest differences being graphics and backporting some of the features from later games in the series. In 1+2, the soundtrack was also mostly untouched, with only 3 songs from the originals not making it in. Alongside the old songs though, a whole host of new songs were added to spice things up. It only made the most sense to expect that same outcome for 3+4. But when people saw that little blurb about streamlined goals for both games, doubts were casted about other facets of the game, including the track list. What's to stop them from changing more, right? Well, they were right. A week after the news for 3+4 dropped, the soundtrack was slowly revealed on social media in 3 waves. The first wave had a nice mix of old and new, maybe more of a focus on the latter, but the new additions were still pretty exciting. Damaged Goods, honestly, that song got me hyped up seeing it on there. I fantasized for many nights about just how it would be to skate to that song. The next 2 waves, though, were a pretty different story. Less and less songs from the original games were popping up, and with wave 3, it was practically only new music. Out of the 60 songs in 3+4, only 10 are from the original games. 6 songs from 3 and 4 from, well, 4. It is important to state that a few more artists from the original games did show up along with those 10, but with different songs in tow. This outcome was not even close to what anyone expected. So much so that people were hoping, praying to the Hawkman in the sky himself, that some sort of wave 4 would save the day with every other song you could ever want from the originals. And there actually was a 4th wave, but it was announced on April Fool's Day and it looked absolutely terrible. But this was what they gave us. And there was a good reason. The emphasis on new songs was not at all a result of whatever numerous conspiracies that the community was theorizing. Nothing about budget cuts, bands withholding music, or anything like that. Tony Hawk himself actually stated that it was apparently a deliberate choice made by him in an effort to introduce new music to players. So a pretty earnest reason, but not a good enough reason for people that were looking forward to the game. Like, it doesn't make sense because it's a remake, so you would expect the remake to have all of the original songs are a huge part of the identity of 3, and you want to put it in there. They should also have a huge part of the identity of 3+4. On and on. So much talk. So many people say so many things, but maybe it's not as bad as we think. Like I said, these games were a part of my childhood. Well, except for 4. I rented it once from Blockbuster, played it for maybe 10 minutes, then forgot I had it for the rest of the weekend. Yeah, Mom was pretty pissed I wasted her money on that rental that I didn't even use. But outside of 4, THPS 1, 2, 3, Thug 1 and 2, American Wasteland, all burned into my brain from hours of trying to complete goals, making and customizing my characters to be the coolest version of me possible, and creating custom parks that look vaguely like my neighborhood and other parts of my town. And of course, hearing the soundtrack. To say that the Tony Hawk games had an influence on my taste in music would be a massive understatement. At the time, I didn't care much about the music outside of the game. It was just honestly noise to me that played in the background while I floated around in free skate, imagining that I was the skater. But the songs, without me knowing, lodged themselves into my brain, and like Mr. Hawk wanted for 3+4's new soundtrack, I remembered the games when the various songs would come up in other parts of my life. Cranking up Amoeba on GTA 5's radio, shredding to Blitzkrieg Bop and Rock Band, hearing both May 16 and No Cigar in a single visit at my local Taco Bell. Like, I liked it and all, but God, that was so surreal. But yeah, these songs have stuck with me, and through a mix of nostalgia, broadened music taste, and the angst of having to live in a dying world, I've really come around to punk music. It resonates with me and feeds my mind, body, and soul unlike any other genre. I love the genre and its music in the games, and while it does pain me to lose a vast majority of the songs from the originals, songs that have ingrained themselves into my life, I think Tony may have made the right choice. With 1+2 following the wonderful critical darling that was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, Activision and the team had a mountain to climb if they wanted to reclaim the series' good faith. And what better way to tell us it's all going to be okay than with a very safe and very faithful remake? Like I said before, 1+2 was practically the same with only some minor changes, additions, and enhancements. Considering this game came out in like September 2020, the year when that happened, if you don't know what that means, I'll just say it was the coronavirus. When that happened, having something safe and familiar was honestly very, very welcome. Along with some of the levels actually having some pretty good advice about keeping your distance and wearing masks, even if it is now stuck in the game forever and kind of weird to see long after everything's happened, but I digress. After the surprise success of that game and the Tony Hawk brand getting back to good health, the sky was pretty much the limit. So when it came time for 3+4 to be worked on, Tony and the team likely thought now's the best time to get a little freaky with it, leading to some risks like the new and removed levels, and of course, the new soundtrack. There's an argument to be made that things should have stayed the same. It's a remake, so why should we change anything, especially the things that people liked? Just keep it as it is. It's simple, low effort, and a guaranteed crowd pleaser. That's true, and I am cool with remakes that are like that. I respect that decision. Though the remakes that make some changes to create a familiar yet refreshing experience for all players are the ones I respect just a little bit more. They're risky endeavors, but ones that can pay off like I feel it did here. The new levels look fun. Honestly, a water park level should have happened back in like the PS2 days, and the pinball machine is so endearingly weird. The 2-minute timer in THPS 4 may seem like a downgrade, but I do enjoy the arcadey format that it provides. And of course, the subject of this video. It's pretty rad. I recently did a listen through of the entire soundtrack that I recorded for a video idea, which I mostly scrapped and turned into this, but I came out of the experience quite pleased. Take note that I didn't say surprised. I trusted the direction they took since nearly all of the new music in 1+2 was awesome. There was no doubt in my mind that the same would occur here, and yes, it does suck that the old songs are mostly gone with, but I won't lie. I'm kinda glad that we're mostly getting different tracks this time around. In 1+2, I did get a kick out of hearing the same music from back then while playing, but after a while, it did end up feeling like I did this all already. 20 years ago, I was sitting in my room, riding around and hearing the soundtrack playing over and over and over again, and here I was in 2020 hearing the same soundtrack playing over and over again, but this time I was reminded I'm not 5 and I now have to pay taxes. It was repetitive, and not to mention, it also felt a bit jarring. Hard to describe, but I'll try my best here. The new, very fancy, updated graphics, the aged-up skaters, modernized levels with current brands and COVID references, and When Worlds Collide by Powerman 5000 playing in the background. Playing the game made me feel like I was like in a time rip where the worlds of the 90s and the 2020s, well, collided. Editor, play the damn song. And maybe that's the point, and maybe I'm wrong for feeling this way, but it did seem more right listening to the new music in 1+2. It's really hard to describe. I'm sorry if I'm not really getting it across, but it just felt that way to me. While it is a remake, the new songs made it feel like a brand new Tony Hawk game, which, despite its status as a remake, that's what it is. Again, I like the old songs. It almost seems like a necessity to state that at this point, but I guess I just didn't like the way they were kinda ill-fitting in this new game. I don't know. But that's why I'm more excited for the new songs that fit a bit more to the upgraded visuals, and fit for me to make new memories with. Those old songs from the original 1 and 2 are songs that I mainly associate with the original games, not 1 and 2. They're part of my memories of those games, and in a way, memories of that moment of time in my life. For that reason, it is harder to associate them with 1+2. Honestly, whenever I hear them when they pop up in the games, I honestly just start to think about the original games and how I was as a kid. However, the newer songs, those are the ones I have a chance to create a new memory with, whether it be when I got my first million-point combo, or how I got off a particularly painful shift, bought some Taco Bell, got it delivered through DoorDash, and grubbed while leisurely making my way through career mode. That's something unique that 1+2 and its soundtrack can offer me. And with 3+4, I know it will be just the same. Hearing Kick Push by Lupe Fiasco for the first time in the demo was honestly an ethereal experience for me that pushed me towards the point of obsession. That song is insanely good and the absolute perfect pick for a Tony Hawk game. In fact, it's so damn good. This ain't even the first time it was used in one of the games. It was actually in Downhill Jam back in 2006. That's something that I actually noted was some repeat songs on the new soundtrack, like that song and Holidays in the Sun, which I am fine with since those songs came from some of the more unpopular or obscure games of the series. So with this game, they get to have a new lease on life. Now, I notice I am starting to ramble, so just let me wrap this up by saying it is a shame we didn't get most of the original soundtrack back. Considering what it means to so many people, its exclusion will be a tough pill that I honestly really wish we didn't have to swallow. The soundtracks are incredibly important to the Tony Hawk games. I'd argue it's probably the most important part too. Gameplay is cool and fun and all. You might remember your first 50k combo in unlocking Spider-Man. However, music is just special and has a really unique way of interweaving itself into our memories without us even knowing it. And that's something I'm sure that happened with many people exposed to these games at a young age. They might not remember the gameplay well, but they certainly do remember the chorus to Amoeba and how it kind of sounds like they're saying Tony Hawk over and over again. I'm definitely not the first one to make that comparison. Thank God that song made it in, by the way, since many others didn't, like Paparazzi, Blitzkrieg Bop, Seneca Falls, All My Best Friends Are Metalheads, TNT by AC/DC, which was the intro song to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. I'm surprised that song didn't even get it. I know AC/DC has like really expensive like rights and stuff, but honestly, they didn't even, whatever. So many songs are missing, but at the very least, we will be getting a very large and very promising set list of brand new songs that will fill that void. They are good, and I have no doubt that they will play a part in people's memories of 3+4. But some people won't want that, and that's something we have to accept. There's a lot of controversy around 3+4, and I won't lie, it kind of makes me scared about what that may mean for the future of the series, especially since Xbox is like the overseer of these games now, and we've seen how they've been treating their studios and games lately. If it underperforms because less people came out to buy it compared to the previous game, we likely might not see another remake, or what I'd personally prefer, a brand new game in the series. It really gives me like Super Monkey Ball vibes, where Sega practically held the series ransom unless you bought their HD remake of a shitty Wii game. Of course, it wasn't outright stated like it was with Sega, but this one remake really could dictate the series' future for the foreseeable future. Whether it be in the ground for 5 years or thriving with new games, that could potentially be up to us, the consumer. And that kind of sucks since we got such a polarizing game to help us make that decision. And yeah, I am still going on with the ramble. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching and listening to me plot on about this topic that honestly everyone's already talked about it to death. I wanted to get my thoughts out there since I rarely talk about Tony Hawk on this channel. If you're going to be playing 3+4, then I hope you have tons of fun with it. I will personally as well. You might even see me in multiplayer. And if you're not going to be playing 3+4, then I'm sure you're already enjoying the originals right now, and I hope you have fun too. They held up really well when I played them for this video. It's really surprising how my skills from 1+2 were able to be backported successfully to these games. Anyways, I'll see you later. Happy skating.